Good morning. Welcome back. You know what's up. Tank Series Luke with Premium Aquatics here. Thanks for stopping by. As always, I appreciate you. We got some new corals in. I got some zoanthids. I couldn't help myself. I saw some frags going for sale, and I'm like, I wasn't going to, but I thought, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to get some. So I've got another like 8 frags in here of zoanthids. Nothing super special, but I love them because they're zoanthids, and I don't know, I've just always been a huge fan of them. But everything's doing great inside the system. Nothing too fancy yet with the algae. The fern chlorpa is growing like crazy. I think that's growing the best of everything. So that's growing very well. The Cato is growing a little bit, looks like, hard to tell. The macroalgae the Cato in the Tunze reactor, I can't tell if it's really growing. I looked at it and it's definitely spread out, and I'm not sure if that's just because the flow, all that flow going around it finally spread out more is what I'm assuming. So maybe by the end of next week when we do this next video, I'll take a look, I'll pull it out, scrunch it up, and see how small it gets, and then we'll get a guesstimate of what we're looking at growth wise over a 2-week period. So we'll take a look at that next round. Beyond that, nothing else is really going on in here. I am getting some alba lettuce, which is funny, growing over on this rock. I've got 2 spots where alba is growing, which is cool. I actually like it. I'm not going to let it go too crazy in this tank because I don't want to get into trouble with having algae in my display. I've let that go before, where I thought I had a cool algae and that thing just matted everywhere and it was a nightmare to get out, just like chlorpa can be. So I'll let it play around a little bit and see what it does, see how big it grows, but beyond that, I'm gonna probably just rip it out, throw it down in the sump, and away we go. But I love it, I'm liking it, tank's looking great, I'm very happy. But let's get down to this week. What are we looking at? The last Tunze product that I had gotten. If you remember right, it was this bad boy, the this bad boy, the Refugium 8831. This is kind of like the light that we have on our algae reactor down there. We're going to break it open, take a look at it. I don't know if I'm going to put it on quite yet because I want to give this Brightwell Cato Grow a little bit more time with what the setup already is, and then afterwards switch it out to this guy. The coolest thing I think about these are that they are submergible, so I can put it in the water. I could put it in the back of this tank if I wanted to have a little moonlight effect or whatever you want to call it. So I think it's cool. Gives it a lot more protection than what some of these lights do. Even if you still have it over the tank, you don't put it above, at least it's nice to know that water splashing up on it is not going to cause corrosion and break this light down. So without further ado, let's open this up. Let's take a look at it. Let's talk about it. Let's go ahead and open this up. First things first, again, I don't know if you'll be able to see this. That is the spectral graph of the unit. So it does have peaks in the blue and purple. Magnet holder, it is magnet, works up to 10 millimeters. It is 9 watts of power. I need my knife. So I will open this up. Inside, as always, manuals in every language you could want. Caution, we'll read that. And then, I mean, this is really a simple ordeal here. We have our magnet, really nice little holding bracket. Excuse the paint on my hands, remodeling. But really nice magnet here, very sleek design. Like I said, works up to 10 millimeters, so that's really nice. And then we have our power supply and our light. So there, I mean, honestly, there's not a lot to this light as far as what you need to get it going. Everything is included, and like I said, this unit is waterproof. It has a nice housing here. You can kind of see on the input where this cord is, there's a little grommet here that seals it in place, and this whole thing seems to be one big piece. So really nice, a little bit of flex to it, not much, but let me plug this in here. Obviously, this is not waterproof, so you will need to be careful of that. Don't go crazy with it and get that next to your tank. But we'll plug this in here and we'll show what this what exactly that this looks like. So, and then I'll take it down to the sump. I'll show you what it looks like over the algae, and maybe take a look at comparatively. But for the mounting, again, really simple. All we're doing is just sliding it into place, and there we go. There's nothing really holding this, so you do want to be careful. It just slides into place, so as long as you don't have anyone that's going, you know, and knocking it around or anything like that, this will be just fine. It's not going anywhere as long as you're not crazy with it and tilting it up or constantly hitting it or anything like that. So if it is in a place where you have other equipment, you will want to be careful working around this. But again, it's waterproof, so even if you drop it, you're protected. So we've got this, 2 nice magnets. I really like the white sleekness of this unit. So let's get this plugged in. Let's get down into the sump. Let's take a look at it, what it looks like over our algae. Okay, so we are hooked up here. As you can see, we've got our light down in the tank. It's not nearly as bright as what I get out of the AI Prime Fugue up here, and mainly because this thing is a lot more output out of the AI Prime Fugue. Plus it's a lot higher, so the spread is nicer. But you can see here the coloration that we're getting, you know, that light purple, which is the same thing that we see on the algae reactor. And then one other thing I forgot to mention with the mounting here that's nice is you can put it out like this if you have a little bit longer of a system. But if you want to, what you can also do is actually mount it in this manner. And we would put it up here underneath this little bracket. And that actually allows us to go the length front to back now instead. Or if I had it on one of the other walls, I could do the exact same thing. So depending on how your tank or your sump is set up, you can do it either way, which is really nice. Obviously for me, because I have a little bit more of a wider area, I would use this manner of setup. Again, I don't know if it's going to be quite bright enough for how large of a system mine is. We'll take a look at it. We'll check it out. Another option that we can also do, of course, is we can put this underwater if we want to. And what that is going to get us is not only it's going to be closer to the algae, so we're going to have better, you know, intensity right at the get-go, but it's also not going to lose, like if you remember when we did the PAR testing with our ATI and the Reef Brights, as soon as you went from air to water, you lose a ton of intensity coming out of there. So if we do this right below the water, we don't have that refraction and all that stuff that's happening at the surface of the water that we're going to lose out on. So if I want to put it down below the water, I'm going to get a little bit more oomph out of it, and it's going to be really close to the algae as well. And because it's waterproof, we're good to go there. So let me move this to the back wall, and then we'll put it on the water. Okay, so I've got it on the back wall. It's not fully submerged, but the bottom lip of this LED definitely is underneath the water. A little bit hard to tell, but you can kind of see it actually brings a ton of light to the algae right off the bat. The only caveat for, again, my system is because it's a lot wider and longer, it's not going to get everything. So this fern chlorpo around the edges is not going to get hit by this light. So I would probably have to get a couple of these and use 2 of them to really get the spread on this big system that I would need. So great fixture, especially for smaller sumps. You know, if this was half the size like some sumps are, this would absolutely be perfect because you'd have it running down this length and you'd be good to go. But you can definitely see the intensity underneath there. Really cool, which is nice to see. That'll be fun to play with. I'll probably end up maybe throwing it on the reactor and see what it does for that too. But cool to see and fun to play around with, as obviously. And you know, who can argue getting to play around and put light underneath your aquarium water? Great light, especially for smaller systems. They do actually have a couple of different options on these lights. They have a marine version, they have a white version, and then they have a full spectrum version. All of them are meant for more nano systems, you know, 5 gallon, 10 gallon, that 20 gallon, depending on what corals you're keeping. But they do have some availability to them. And again, because you can keep them underwater, you could literally put them, as I do right here, and have them right above the water level and essentially not take away from you know, any
viewing, you know, it wouldn't take away from fixtures being mounted on top or anything of that nature. So if you're someone like that doesn't like having all that excess equipment outside, inside, whatever, you could put this right at the water level and have a really nice light, especially if you did a couple of them on, you know, a system like this. If you had a couple of them, that'd actually be really cool, especially since it's right there on the edge, and would be neat to play around with and see what you could get going with a nano system in these lights, because that actually is a really cool feature. So the EcoFugue, the Tunze Eco Refugium light, go check it out, guys. Really cool, and actually it is really bright. Definitely I would recommend it if you have a smaller sump, or if you have a small tank you're looking for some LED lights on that are a little bit more affordable. Definitely go check them out. For a small system, for a smaller nano system, that could actually make a really nice lighting setup. You can actually see the differences. That's really cool, actually. I like that. Just to see what I can see, the, you know, hint of the red that's popping out of these rocks right now, and the purples there. So go check them out. Again, I love Tunze. They're a phenomenal product. Really cool to have a waterproof light like this, so you don't have to worry about corrosion or water splashing or anything like that. You're kind of worry free. Put it on there, set it and forget it, put a timer on it, and away you go. So if you have a small system, small tank, go check those out, guys. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate you. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. Hit that bell for notifications so you stay the most update on this system, as well as the other videos we're putting out. Stay safe, stay happy and healthy, and I'll see you next week. Peace, guys.